Trump has been doing this thing where he's escalating the National Guard or federal law enforcement in order to incite incidents with the public. That's what it seems like to me. I know that he's saying, oh, it's about doing these ICE raids and it's about getting illegal immigrants out. And it may have started like that, but I do think he relishes in the fact that he has quote unquote control over all of these different entities. And he's using that leverage in order to terrorize citizens in cities that he doesn't like or didn't vote for him. Right. He's doing it under the guise of, oh, we're just going to go over there and decrease crime and we're going to grab the immigrants and we're going to send them home and they shouldn't be here. Hey, but if you get in our way, then we'll also arrest citizens as well. And more than anything, it's inciting people to resist, because at the end of the day, a fundamental American principle is we're not going to be treaded on. Like, we literally have people with bumper stickers and license plates that say "Don't tread on me." That is the history of America. So you send in federal law enforcement and agents into these cities because they're Democratic led, and you're trying to do it under the guise of lowering crime and arresting illegal immigrants. It's agitating the citizens that are there. Now, we saw, plain and simple, Trump's agenda. He wants to antagonize citizens, and he wants to not only use federal law enforcement to do it, ICE agents, DHS agents, ATF, all of these different entities, but he also wants to use the National Guard. And we saw last week when he had the meeting with the generals and admirals that flew over to Quantico, him and Pete Hegseth, they basically echoed this thing where they're like, yo, we're going to take away IG complaints. That's what Pete Hegseth said. We're going to get back to doing wall-to-wall counseling. And if you have not been in the military, that's basically beating people's ass in the military. He said we're going to revert back to the name, the Department of War, right? Department of Defense sounds a little more ambiguous, so you don't really know what's going on. But when you name it the Department of War, not only are you letting people know, hey, we're here to mean business, but it has a negative connotation to it. Trump turned around after Pete Hegseth spoke with all of these different talking points that he had, inciting some sort of like pep rally to go out there and whoop citizens' ass. Trump came up right behind him, followed up right behind that speech and said, we're going to use these cities as training grounds. He said this to people that are in the military, generals that have been serving for decades. We're going to use our American cities as training grounds. So, if you go in there and kick somebody's ass or you stomp their head in, it's not like we're going to file any administrative action against you. Pete Hegseth already let you know we're getting back to being the Department of War. We don't really care about rules of engagement. And then Trump said, yo, those rules of engagement that Pete told you we were going to be more laxed on, well, you're going to use them in the cities. Those are going to be your training grounds. What did Trump say? The enemy within. He said, we know who our enemy is outside of the U.S., but now we have to start looking at the enemy within in reference to American citizens. So when you see stuff like the federal agents like taking action over in Chicago, you know that he's trying to incite something so he can call the National Guard in. He said he wants to do it in Chicago. He's already done it in DC. He did it in California over the summer. He's looking for places where he can agitate and ramp up the interactions with the public so that when he does call the National Guard in, he's like, yo, well, look, they were being violent, right? We can't have lawlessness. Well, it wasn't lawlessness before you got there. It's lawlessness because the American public refuses to let you just do whatever the hell you want to do. When I'm driving on 95 here in the DMV, I see people every day, not every day, but when I'm a little closer to DC, I see people with signs on the bridge that say, no kings. We know that was a protest started at the beginning of the summer. People are saying no kings. Like, we don't want the president acting unilaterally with no sort of checks and balances. And that's what Trump is doing. That's what he's moving to do. That's what Project 2025 is intended to do. And even though he said last year, I don't have any intention of following Project 2025, I don't know what it is, that turned out not to be the case. And if you're deluding yourself into thinking that he still doesn't know what Project 2025 is. He literally not tweeted, he Truth Socialed and said he was going to meet Russell Vogt, the author, or at least one of the authors of Project 2025. So Trump, he's looking to do a power grab. He's looking for a reason to amp up the temperature in the U.S. We see it clear as day. And we got to remember, we're still within the first year. This dude still has 3 more years. He's going to absolutely terrorize the American economy, the social fabric between the left and the right. It's all going to dissipate and disappear. Whatever we thought that America was, it's not going to be that at the end of this term, at the end of this, by the next election cycle. I'm terrified what the U.S. is going to be. I just had some damn kids, man. How come the U.S. has to go to shit as soon as I had some kids? So you guys can let me know what you think. Trump sending the National Guard, or Trump sending ICE agents to do raids over in Chicago, amping up the temperature between law enforcement, federal law enforcement, local law enforcement, and the public. And I think it's all a play. It is about immigration. He said that was one of his sticking points, but it's also about ramping up the temperature in order to get the National Guard on the ground so that he can continue to enact his plan to hold as much power and showcase as much of his authority as he can. California and Oregon are suing the Trump administration in an effort to stop him sending hundreds of National Guard troops from the Golden State to Portland per an amended lawsuit filed Sunday. Newsom vowed to sue Sunday after he said he learned the administration was sending hundreds of federalized personnel from the California National Guard to Portland. The action came one day after a federal judge granted a temporary restraining order, a TRO, that's what they call them for shorthand, TRO, order blocking the deployment of National Guard troops to Portland. Despite the unequivocal ruling, 100 federalized service members of the California National Guard were deployed to Oregon. This was said in a statement to Blue Sky announcing the amended lawsuit and noted that 100 others were preparing to follow. The amended complaint that includes California is seeking a new temporary restraining order to block the deployment of California National Guard members to Oregon. Representatives for the White House and Department of Homeland Security, who along with the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem are named in the suit, did not immediately respond to Axios' request for comment. When are people going to put their foot down? When are people going to put their foot down and be like, oh, Trump does not give a damn about what you're doing in terms of going to court? He's showing that over and over and over again. I know that we're supposed to have decorum. That's part of the social fabric that we have in America. That's part of what makes us, quote unquote, civilized, right? If we are a civilized society, having courts, doing things the right way through legal channels is what makes us that, a civilized society. Trump has no interest in adhering to our normal decorum. He has no adherence to the things that hold us together. He's like, yo, I'm going to shoot first and ask questions later. He's going to do what he has to do. And if he gets spanked on the hand for it, if he gets slapped on the hand for it, then he'll take that punishment later. And for time after time after time after time, we have people that are, it's Democrats, right? Because a lot of people on the Republican side, some of them are MAGA, quite a few of them are MAGA, and some of them are just afraid to oppose anything that Trump does, right? But Democrats, they still want to do everything by the normal legacy standard. I don't know if it's a good thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing. And I say that because on one hand, at the end of his 3 years, we would hope that he's going to leave office, right? He's talked about running a third time. People have made comments about him campaigning again in 2028 and going up for election, some sort of way he can do it, right? All of this stuff is in Project 2025. But the Democrats continue to play softball with Trump. And he's just steamrolling ahead. Anything that he wants to do, he's like, I'm going to do it. And if you have a problem with it, then we'll deal with it in the courts later. And then the courts give him carte blanche to do anything that he wants. So why are you still playing this game where you're like, oh, well, I'm going to go file a motion, and Hakeem Jeffries like, I'm gonna write a strongly worded letter. You guys are losing every day, repeatedly, time after time after time after time. He's like, oh, you're not with what I'm doing? Well, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to do it anyway. And then we're going to duke it out in court. Oh, and by the way, the courts are on my side because nobody has the balls to stand up to Trump. You have all these people in leadership. And Gavin Newsom can make all the memes that he wants on Twitter. He can make all the snarky comments about Trump on Twitter. And those are all fine and good. But if you're not going to have the same backbone that Trump is doing, then all of that is for naught. Because Trump, regardless if you like him, good, bad, or indifferent, when he says he's intending to do something, he goes and gets that done. He's not waiting around for people to tell him like, oh yeah, it's okay if you just file a motion against me and I'll just wait until the courts. No, he's not. He's like, yo, you, Tom, Dick, and Harry, y'all go figure out a way for me to do this. I'm going to do it in the meantime. Make it legal.